So far as keeping them alive, only God keeps any of us alive. That what the ventilator does is supports the vital activity of movement of air, which in turn supports the vital activity of respiration and circulation. But that's all that it does.
So you see the ventilator as a reasonable means of preserving life, much like providing hydration or nutrition to someone by way of a tube. Is the ventilator similar to that?
In many ways, it's not any different.
Okay, because isn't there oftentimes in these sort of hospital settings pressure to get off the ventilator to sort of see if the patient can continue to breathe on his or her own, and if they can't, then that's pretty much sort of taken as a sign that the person is on their way out.
Well, they do what's called an apnea test, and they take away the ventilator in people who are brain injured. They take it away for 10 minutes. They suffocate them for 10 minutes. They must prove that they can breathe on their own, or that's the signal to get their beating heart and other organs cut out.
So are you saying breathing on your own is not a necessity for being considered alive? You're still alive even if you cannot breathe on your own?
Well, a good example would be Christopher Reeves. You remember Christopher Reeves, who was the actor who played Superman, fell off his horse, and then for years after he fell off his horse, we saw him on the television. He was on a ventilator all the time during that time. The ventilator is the kind of thing that helps people, the ventilators are so sophisticated now. They're so nice. We can dial in a very sophisticated way of helping people to breathe. And people say, oh, they don't want to ever be on a ventilator. They should not ever be saying that, because a ventilator is a kind of thing that can help people. Many times we use the ventilator for just a short time, a day or two, and it helps them get over things and they go on and live a normal life. Sometimes, depending on what it is, they need the ventilator for a longer period of time. But ventilators, as Christopher Reeves was on the stage with a ventilator all the time. No one saw his ventilator. It was under his wheelchair. But he couldn't take a breath on his own after he fell off his horse.
But if you had a patient who was, say, non-responsive, who was in a coma, say, for years and years, and they were able to survive with tube nutrition and hydration and a ventilator, in your judgment they are still alive and they ought to be preserved in that state, maintained in that state by the medical community?
Well, their life can be protected and preserved, but similar to that is that one of my good friends is not on a ventilator, but she's on a feeding tube and has a urinary catheter, and she's been like that for 10 years. And I go to see her husband because he takes care of her day and night. And when I went to see her just last week, I said, "Hello, Laura, it's Paul." And she opened her eyes. Okay, so I said, "Laura, is it all right if I pray?" And then I said the Our Father, and I said the Our Father who art in heaven, and then she began to lip the words.
Wow.
I saw her lip the words. She's been bedridden for 10 years. Now who would want to kill her? I mean, just because you can't do something doesn't mean you're less of a person. A person is created in the image and likeness of God, and what we must do is protect and preserve the life, and we must not kill them, and we must not make them weaker. And why do they want people to become dead? Because they cost money.